In the vast expanse of the galaxy, the United Coalition of Planets had explored countless worlds, met various species, and established protocols for first contact. Yet, nothing prepared them for the day they encountered humans. The UKP's exploratory vessel, Starfinder, picked up an unusual burst of radio signals from an uncharted region. Captain Lyran, a seasoned explorer from the avian species of Falcor, ordered the ship to investigate. As they approached the source, they discovered a blue and green planet teeming with life Earth. "Captain, the signals are primitive, yet sophisticated," reported Rax, the ship's chief communication officer. "It appears they have been broadcasting for decades." Captain Lyran was intrigued. "Prepare the translation matrix. Let's see what these new beings have to say." The humans, as they identified themselves, had already deciphered basic interstellar communication protocols and were attempting to make contact. Within days, they had arranged a formal meeting with Earth's representatives. The UKP delegation landed on Earth, greeted by a crowd of curious and cautious humans. Leading them was President Eleanor Carter, a composed and confident leader. The initial exchanges were polite but cautious, each side wary of the other's intentions. "We are the United Coalition of Planets," Captain Lyran began. "Our mission is peaceful exploration and cooperation. We are here to extend a hand of friendship." President Carter smiled. "We appreciate your gesture, Captain Lyran. Earth has long wondered about the existence of life beyond our planet. It seems our curiosity has finally been answered." As diplomatic talks continued, the UKP representatives couldn't help but notice the humans' resilience and resourcefulness. Despite their relatively low technology compared to the UKP, the humans displayed a remarkable ability to adapt and innovate. One evening, Captain Lyran and President Carter shared a private conversation, discussing their worlds and histories. "Your people are extraordinary," Lyran admitted. "You have achieved so much with so little. It's as if you possess an indomitable spirit," President Carter chuckled. "We have a saying on Earth, Captain. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. We've faced countless challenges, but we've never given up." This resilience fascinated the UKP delegation, and they soon learned more about humanity's storied past wars, conflicts, and struggles for survival. Despite it all, humans always found a way to persevere. However, not all members of the UKP were pleased with the discovery of Earth. The Drari Dominion, a militaristic species within the UKP, saw the humans as a potential threat. Their leader, High Commander Vrax, argued that humanity's aggressive history made them dangerous. "We cannot allow such a volatile species to join our ranks," Vrax declared during a UKP Council meeting. "They will bring chaos and destruction." But Captain Lyran and other members of the Council believed in giving humanity a chance. They proposed a probationary period where Earth would be observed and assessed before any decisions were made. As Earth integrated with the UKP, they quickly adapted to new technologies and began contributing to the coalition. Yet, tensions with the Drari remained high. Vrax's distrust of humans only grew as he witnessed their rapid advancements. One fateful day, a Drari warship patrolling near Earth's borders detected what they believed to be a human attempt to develop advanced weaponry. Without waiting for confirmation, Vrax ordered an immediate attack, believing preemptive action was the only way to ensure the UKP's safety. The attack was swift and brutal, catching the humans off guard. The Drari ships bombarded Earth's defense systems, causing widespread. In the chaos, President Carter broadcasted a desperate plea for help to the UKP Council. "To all members of the UKP, we are under attack by the Drari Dominion. We seek your aid in defending our world." Captain Lyran, horrified by Vrax's actions, rallied support from sympathetic UKP members. The stage was set for a conflict that would test humanity's resilience and the UKP's commitment to its principles. And so, the Great War began, with humanity and their newfound allies standing against the might of the Drari Dominion. As the smoke from the Drari attack cleared, Earth was left reeling. Cities lay in ruins, and millions were displaced. Despite the devastation, humanity's spirit remained unbroken. President Eleanor Carter, addressing a global audience, declared, "We will not surrender. We will fight back and show the galaxy what it means to be human in the depths of space. Captain Lyran mobilized his allies within the UKP. The Falkor, the Zener, and the Luminar, three powerful races within the coalition, pledged their support. However, the UKP Council was divided, with many members hesitant to intervene in what they saw as an internal dispute. During a tense council meeting, Captain Lyran stood before the assembly. "We must act," he urged. "The Drakari's unprovoked aggression threatens the very principles of our coalition. If we stand by and do nothing, we are complicit in their crimes." High Commander Vrax, confident in his position, countered, "Humans are a danger to us all. They must be contained before they bring chaos to the galaxy. This is a necessary action for our safety, but Lyran, the Drakari's actions are not about safety. They are about domination. We cannot allow such tyranny to go unchecked." Amid the heated debate, a surprising voice joined Lyran's cause. Ambassador Talira of the Luminar, known for their wisdom and neutrality, spoke up. "The humans have shown resilience and adaptability. They deserve a chance to prove their worth. We must stand with them against this unwarranted aggression." With Talira's endorsement, the tide began to turn. More members of the council voiced their support for humanity, swayed by the arguments for justice and unity. The UKP voted to deploy a fleet to Earth's defense, a decision that sent shockwaves throughout the coalition. Back on Earth, preparations for retaliation were underway. Human engineers, scientists, and soldiers worked tirelessly to rebuild their defenses and develop new strategies. Commander Iden Blackwood, a decorated military leader, took charge of Earth's defense forces. His strategic mind and unwavering determination made him the perfect leader for the coming battle. "We will not be broken," Blackwood declared to his troops. "The Drakari think they can intimidate us, but they have underestimated the human spirit. We will stand, we will fight, and we will prevail." As the UKP fleet, led by Captain Lyran, approached Earth, a sense of hope spread among the human population. The sight of alien ships arriving not as conquerors, but as allies lifted their spirits. Lyran and President Carter met to discuss their plans. "Captain Lyran, your support means more than words can express," Carter said. "Together, we can turn the tide and show the Drakari that their aggression will not go unpunished." Lyran nodded. "We stand with you, President Carter. Humanity has proven its worth, and we will fight alongside you until the end." The combined forces of Earth and the UKP allies began coordinating. Intelligence reports indicated that the Drakari fleet was amassing near the asteroid belt, preparing for another assault. Commander Blackwood proposed a daring plan to strike first and cripple the Drakari's command structure. "We will hit them where it hurts," Blackwood explained. "A swift, decisive strike on their flagship will throw their forces into disarray and give us the upper hand." With the plan in motion, the Allied fleet moved into position. Stealth ships and reconnaissance drones provided vital information, allowing them to navigate the treacherous asteroid field undetected. As they closed in on the Drakari fleet, tension mounted. The signal was given. Earth and UKP ships emerged from their cover, launching a surprise attack on the Drakari. Explosions lit up the void of space as lasers and missiles struck their targets. The Drakari, caught off guard, scrambled to respond. In the chaos, Commander Blackwood led a strike team toward the Drakari flagship. As they breached its defenses and stormed the command center, they faced fierce resistance. But the humans pressed on, determined to complete their mission. The battle raged on, each side fighting with all they had. The fate of Earth and the principles of the UKP hung in the balance. The first major clash of this great war had begun, and there would be no turning back. The battle around the Drakari flagship intensified, with explosions illuminating the darkness of space. Commander Iden Blackwood led his team through the ship's corridors, their goal clear: capture or eliminate High Commander Vrax. The resistance was fierce, but the humans' determination was unyielding. "Stay focused. Keep pushing forward," Blackwood commanded, his voice cutting through the chaos. The strike team moved with precision, overcoming each obstacle in their path. As they neared the bridge, they encountered a heavily fortified checkpoint. Blackwood devised a quick plan to bypass the defenses using a combination of explosives and diversionary tactics. "On my signal, we hit them hard and fast," he ordered. The team executed the plan flawlessly. Explosives tore through the barriers, and a barrage of gunfire cleared the path. Within moments, they breached the bridge, confronting High Commander Vrax and his elite guard. "Your reign of terror ends here," Vrax, Blackwood declared, his weapon trained on the Dracari leader. Vrax sneered. "You underestimate the power of the Dracari." This is far from over. Before Vrax could react, a member of Blackwood's team launched a stun grenade, disorienting the Dracari guards. In the ensuing confusion, Blackwood lunged at Vrax. A fierce hand-to-hand struggle ensued. Despite Vrax's strength and combat skills, Blackwood's tenacity prevailed. With a final, powerful strike, he incapacitated the Dracari leader. "Secure him," Blackwood ordered, catching him. "We need to get him back to our ship." As Vrax was restrained and transported, the Allied fleet continued their assault on the Dracari forces. The sudden capture of their leader threw the Dracari into disarray, weakening their resolve. Captain Lyron and President Carter coordinated their efforts, capitalizing on the chaos. "Focus on their command ships," Lyron directed. "Disrupt their chain of command and force them to retreat." Human and UCP ships worked in unison, targeting the Dracari. The tide of battle began to turn in their favor. The Dracari, now leaderless and demoralized, started to withdraw, unable to withstand the combined might of the Allied forces. "We're pushing them back," an officer aboard the UCP flagship exclaimed. As the Dracari fleet retreated, cheers erupted among the Allied ships. The first significant victory of the war had been achieved, but everyone knew this was just the beginning. The Dracari would regroup and strike again, and the Allies needed to be prepared. Back on Earth, celebrations were tempered by the reality of the situation. Cities were still in ruins, and countless lives had been lost. Yet, the victory provided a glimmer of hope and a renewed sense of determination. In a secure UCP facility, High Commander Vrax was interrogated. Despite his defeat, he remained defiant, refusing to divulge any useful information. However, the Allies had other means of gathering intelligence. Advanced technology and skilled operatives worked tirelessly to decipher captured Dracari data. President Carter and Captain Lyron convened with their military leaders to discuss their next steps. The information retrieved from the Dracari flagship revealed plans for a massive offensive aimed at wiping out Earth's remaining defenses. "They won't stop until we're completely destroyed," Carter said grimly. "We need to take the fight to them," Lyron agreed. "The Dracari are weakened, but they are still a formidable enemy. We must strike at their heart before they have a chance to regroup." Commander Blackwood, now hailed as a hero for capturing Vrax, presented a bold. "We need to hit their primary shipyard at Draus Prime. It's where they build and repair their fleet. If we can cripple their production capabilities, we'll gain a significant advantage." The plan was risky, requiring a deep strike into Dracari territory, but the Council agreed it was their best chance to turn the tide of the war permanently. Preparations began immediately, with Earth and UCP allies pooling their resources and expertise. As the Allied fleet gathered for the next critical mission, a sense of camaraderie and resolve permeated the ranks. They were fighting not just for survival, but for the principles of freedom and justice that united them. With their spirits high and their objective clear, the fleet set course for Draus Prime. The next chapter of the war was about to unfold, and humanity, alongside their allies, stood ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The journey to Draus Prime was fraught with tension. The Allied fleet, composed of human and UCP ships, moved through hyperspace, each passing moment bringing them closer to their destination, and to the heart of Dracari power. Commander Iden Blackwood and Captain Lyron spent the voyage planning their attack down to the last detail. "Remember," Blackwood addressed the assembled officers, "our goal is to cripple their shipyards and disrupt their production. We can't afford any mistakes." Captain Lyron added, "This mission is dangerous, but it is our best shot at turning the tide of this war. We are counting on each one of you." As they approached Draus Prime, the fleet cloaked their signatures to avoid detection. The massive shipyards orbiting the planet came into view, a hive of activity as Dracari vessels were being built and repaired. The scale of the operation was daunting, but the Allies pressed on undeterred. The signal was given, and the fleet decloaked, launching their surprise attack. Earth and UKP ships targeted the shipyard defenses, unleashing a torrent of firepower. Explosions rocked the orbital platforms as lasers and missiles found their marks. All units engage, Blackwood ordered, leading a squadron of fighters into the fray. The initial assault caught the Dracari off guard, and their defenses struggled to respond. The Allies pressed their advantage, focusing on key structures and supply depots. However, the Dracari quickly regrouped, sending waves of fighters and warships to repel the invaders. "Hold the line," Captain Lyron urged. "We need to give our strike teams time to plant the charges." Amid the chaos, Blackwood and his strike team boarded one of the main shipyard stations. Their mission: to plant high-yield explosives that would devastate the facility. The corridors were a maze of activity, but the team moved with purpose, neutralizing any Dracari they encountered. "Set the charges here," Blackwood directed. "We need maximum impact." As the team worked swiftly, alarms blared, signaling the Dracari's awareness of their presence. Reinforcements were closing in, but Blackwood remained focused. "Almost there. Keep going." Outside, the battle raged on. The Allied fleet held their ground, protecting the strike teams and maintaining pressure on the Dracari forces. The coordination between Earth and UKP ships was seamless, a testament to their shared resolve. In the shipyard, the final charge was set. Blackwood activated the timer and signaled his team to retreat. "Move out. We have 5 minutes to clear the blast radius." They raced back to their extraction point, engaging Dracari troops along the way. The tension was palpable, each second bringing them closer to either escape or destruction. As they boarded their transport ship, Blackwood looked back at the shipyard, a steely determination in his eyes. "Let's get out of here," he ordered, and the transport ship launched, racing away from the impending explosion. The Allied fleet began to withdraw, covering the retreat of the strike teams. Moments later, a series of massive explosions ripped through the shipyard, sending debris and shockwaves into space. The destruction was catastrophic, crippling the Dracari's production capabilities. "Direct hit," an officer reported. "The shipyard is down." Cheers erupted across the Allied fleet, but the victory was bittersweet. The cost had been high, and the battle was far from over. The Dracari, though dealt a severe blow, were not defeated yet. As the fleet regrouped, Captain Lyron communicated with President Carter. "We've achieved our objective, but we must remain vigilant. The Dracari will retaliate, and we need to be ready." Back on Earth, the news of the successful mission was met with a mixture of relief and resolve. President Carter addressed the world, her voice firm and inspiring. "We have struck a significant blow against our enemies, but we must remain united and strong. The Dracari will come for us, and when they do, we will be ready." The Allies wasted no time fortifying their defenses and preparing for the inevitable counterattack. New alliances were forged, and resources were mobilized on an unprecedented. The shared goal of defeating the Dracari brought together species that had once been distant and wary of each other. In the UKP Command Center, plans were laid for the next phase of the war. Intelligence reports indicated that the Dracari were amassing their remaining forces for a massive assault, aiming to break the resolve of the Allied coalition. "We must anticipate their moves and strike first," Blackwood suggested. "If we can disrupt their command structure, we can weaken their offensive capabilities." The Allies agreed, and preparations for a preemptive. The target, the Dracari Command Center, on their homeworld of Drakkar. It was a daring plan, fraught with risk, but it offered the best chance to end the war decisively. As the fleet prepared for their next mission, a sense of determination and unity permeated the ranks. The Allies had proven they could stand against the Dracari, and now they aimed to deliver a final, crushing blow. With their spirits high and their resolve unshaken, the Allied fleet set course for Drakkar. The final chapter of the Great War was about to unfold, and humanity, alongside their allies, stood ready to face the ultimate challenge. The Allied fleet approached Drakkar, the Drukhari homeworld, under the cover of darkness. The mission was clear: strike at the heart of the Drukhari command and cripple their ability to wage war. Commander Iden Blackwood, Captain Lyran, and their teams prepared for what would be the most daring assault of the conflict. "All units, this is Blackwood," the commander addressed the fleet. "We're about to descend into the heart of the Drukhari Empire. Stay focused and remember what's at stake. Failure is not an option." As the fleet emerged from hyperspace, they were immediately met with fierce resistance. Drukhari ships patrolling the perimeter of their home system engaged the Allies with relentless aggression. "Evasive maneuvers," Captain Lyran ordered. "Form up and protect the transports. We need to get our teams on the ground." The battle in space was intense. The Allied ships maneuvered with precision, engaging the Drukhari defenses and clearing a path for the landing craft. Amid the chaos, Blackwood's strike team boarded their dropship, ready to plunge into the heart of enemy territory. As the dropships descended through the atmosphere, anti-aircraft fire lit up the sky. The Drukhari were well prepared, and the Allied forces faced a harrowing descent. The dropships weaved through the barrage, but not all made it unscathed. Several were hit and plummeted in fiery trails. "Hold on," Blackwood shouted as their dropship took evasive actions, narrowly avoiding incoming fire. The dropships touched down on the surface of Drakkar amidst explosions and gunfire. The strike teams disembarked swiftly, moving to secure their landing zones. Blackwood led his team through the chaos, heading towards their primary objective, the Drukhari command center. "Move, move, move," Blackwood urged, pushing through the fortified. Captain Lyran and his team provided crucial support, using their advanced technology to disable Drukhari security systems and clear the way. The Allies fought through relentless waves of Drukhari soldiers, their resolve unyielding. As they neared the command center, resistance grew fiercer. The Drukhari, aware of the importance of this location, defended it with everything they had. Turrets, traps, and heavily armed troops blocked the path. "Captain, we need a diversion," Blackwood called out over the comms. "Can you create a distraction to draw their fire?" "Consider it done," Lyran replied, directing his team to launch a series of coordinated attacks on key defensive positions. The diversion worked. The Drukhari defenses faltered as they redirected their focus, allowing Blackwood's team to breach the outer perimeter. Inside, the corridors were a labyrinth of reinforced doors and security checkpoints. "Stay sharp," Blackwood cautioned. "We're almost there." They moved with precision, overcoming each obstacle with determination. The command center's main chamber was heavily guarded, but the Allies pressed on. In the midst of the battle, Blackwood noticed a weak point in the defenses and signaled his team to focus their efforts there. "Concentrate your fire on that access point," he ordered. The concentrated assault worked. The defenses crumbled, and the team stormed the chamber, confronting the Drukhari High Command. General Threx, the mastermind behind the Drukhari war effort, stood defiantly at the center of the room. "You think you can defeat us?" Threx snarled. "The Drukhari Empire will never fall." Blackwood stepped forward, his weapon trained on Threx. "It's over, Threx. Surrender now and spare your people further suffering." Threx laughed bitterly. "We would rather die than submit to you." A fierce battle erupted in the command chamber. The Allies fought with all their might, determined to end the war once and for all. Blackwood engaged Threx in a brutal hand-to-hand combat, each strike echoing with the weight of the conflict. Outside, the Allied fleet continued their assault on Drukhari defenses. Captain Lyran coordinated airstrikes and ground support, ensuring the strike teams had the backup they needed. The Drukhari forces, though resilient, began to falter under the relentless pressure. In the command chamber, Blackwood's battle with Threx reached its climax. With a final, decisive move, Blackwood incapacitated the Drukhari general. The remaining Drukhari soldiers, seeing their leader defeated, began to surrender. "Secure the area," Blackwood ordered, breathing heavily. "We need to ensure no further threats As the Allied forces took control of the command center, a sense of relief washed over them. The mission had been a success, but the cost had been high. Many brave soldiers had fallen, and the war was not yet over. Back on the Allied ships, messages of hope and determination were broadcasted. President Carter and Captain Lyron addressed the coalition, their words inspiring renewed vigor. "We have struck a critical blow against the Dracari," Carter declared. "But we must remain vigilant. The path to peace is still fraught with danger. Together, we will see this through to the end." With the Dracari command structure in disarray, the Allies prepared for the final phase of their campaign. The end of the war was in sight, but the most challenging battles still lay ahead. As they regrouped and planned their next moves, the Allied forces knew that the fate of the galaxy hung in the balance. The Allied fleet, now bolstered by their success, set their sights on the final strongholds of the Dracari Empire. The last chapters of this great war were about to unfold, and humanity, along with their allies, stood ready to face the ultimate challenge. The capture of General Threx and the fall of the Dracari Command Center sent shockwaves throughout the galaxy. The Dracari Empire, once thought invincible, was now on the brink of collapse. Yet, despite their losses, the Dracari were far from defeated. Their remaining forces regrouped at their final strongholds, determined to fight to the bitter end. Commander Iden Blackwood, Captain Lyron, and President Eleanor Carter convened with their military leaders to strategize the final push. The Allied fleet was battle-worn but resolute, ready to deliver the decisive blow. Intelligence indicates that the Dracari are fortifying their positions in the Zarak Nebula, reported Admiral Saran, a Luminar tactician. "It's a natural fortress, difficult to navigate and heavily defended. We need to hit them hard and fast," Blackwood emphasized. "If we give them time to regroup, they'll become an even greater threat," Captain Lyron nodded. "We should divide our forces. A frontal assault will draw their attention, while a smaller, stealthier unit infiltrates and disrupts their defenses from within," President Carter agreed. "This is our chance to end the war. Every decision we make now is crucial," the plan was set. The main fleet, led by Captain Lyron and Admiral Saran, would engage the Dracari head-on, while Blackwood's elite team would execute a covert operation to disable key defensive. As the Allied fleet approached the Zarak Nebula, they encountered fierce resistance. Dracari warships stationed in strategic positions unleashed a relentless barrage of firepower. The nebula's dense gases and volatile pockets made navigation treacherous, but the Allies pressed on. "All units maintain formation," Lyron commanded. "Protect the transports and keep the pressure on their defenses." Blackwood's team, aboard a stealth frigate, slipped through the chaos, heading for a hidden entry point identified by their scouts. The frigate weaved through the nebula, avoiding detection and maneuvering around hazardous areas. "Steady," Blackwood urged. "We can't afford to be spotted." As they neared their destination, the team prepared for their infiltration. The plan was to plant explosive charges on critical power nodes, disrupting the Dracari's defensive grid and creating an opening for the main fleet. The frigate docked covertly, and Blackwood's team disembarked, moving swiftly and silently through the enemy installation. They encountered pockets of resistance but neutralized each threat with precision. "Charges set," reported Lieutenant Kira, the team's demolition expert. "Ready to detonate on your command." "Good work," Blackwood acknowledged. "Prepare to exfiltrate." Outside, the main fleet engaged the Dracari with relentless determination. Captain Lyron coordinated the assault, targeting the Dracari's heavy artillery and command ships. The battle was intense, with both sides sustaining heavy losses. "Focus fire on their flagship," Lyron ordered. "We need to break their command structure." In the midst of the battle, Blackwood's team completed their mission. As they made their way back to the frigate, they faced a final, desperate stand by Dracari soldiers. A fierce firefight ensued, but the team fought with unparalleled resolve. "Detonate the charges," Blackwood commanded as they reached the frigate. The explosions rocked the installation, sending shockwaves through the Dracari defenses. Power grids failed, and turrets went offline, creating chaos and confusion among the enemy ranks. "Now hit them with everything we've got," Lyron shouted to the fleet. The Allied ships launched a coordinated assault, exploiting the weakened defenses. Missiles and energy blasts pounded the Drari positions, overwhelming their remaining forces. The flagship, targeted by concentrated fire, erupted in a massive explosion, signaling a turning point in the battle. "We're pushing them back." Admiral Saran, "Their lines are breaking." As the Drari fleet began to retreat, the Allied forces pursued, determined to end the threat once and for all. Blackwood's team, back aboard their frigate, provided vital support, targeting fleeing ships and preventing their escape. On the surface of the Drari stronghold, ground forces engaged in brutal combat. Human soldiers and UKP allies fought side by side, overcoming fortified positions and advancing steadily. The Drari, though fierce in their defense, were no match for the combined might and determination of the Allied coalition. In the command center of the flagship, Captain Lyron received a transmission from President Carter. "We've broken through their defenses. The Drari are in full retreat. This is our moment." "Understood, Lyron. We'll keep the pressure on until the job is done." The battle raged on, but the outcome was clear. The Drari, once a formidable empire, were now in disarray. Their fleets were decimated, their command structure shattered, and their will to fight crumbling. As the Allies secured their victory, a sense of relief and triumph spread among the ranks. The long and brutal war was nearing its end, and the galaxy would soon know peace once more. With the Drari forces scattered and defeated, the Allied fleet regrouped, preparing for the final phase of the last remnants of the Drari Empire would be hunted down and neutralized, ensuring that they could never rise again. As the fleet set its course for the final engagements, the Allies knew that the greatest challenge lay ahead. The final part of this epic saga was about to unfold, and humanity, alongside their allies, stood ready to deliver the decisive blow and secure a lasting peace for the galaxy. The Allied fleet, now bolstered by their recent victory, set course for the Drari's last remaining stronghold, the heavily fortified planet of Karak. This final bastion was home to the remnants of the Drari leadership and their most loyal forces. The Allied commanders knew that capturing Karak would be the definitive end to the Drari threat. As the fleet approached, they faced an immense array of planetary defenses. Turrets, missile batteries, and energy shields protected the planet, creating a nearly impenetrable barrier. But the Allies were undeterred. "All units, prepare for the final assault," Captain Lyron ordered. "This is our last push. We take Karak, and we end this war." Commander Iden Blackwood, aboard his flagship, addressed his team. "We've come this far. We've faced impossible odds and emerged victorious. Now we finish what we started. For Earth, for the UKP, and for the future of the galaxy, the Allied fleet launched a coordinated attack, targeting the planetary defenses with precision. Fighters and bombers weaved through the onslaught, delivering their payloads with devastating accuracy. Capital ships engaged the Drari warships, creating a fierce battle in the skies above Karak. "Focus fire on their shield generators," Lyron commanded. "We need to create an opening for our ground forces." As the battle raged, Blackwood's team prepared for a daring infiltration mission. Their objective was to disable the primary shield generator from within, allowing the fleet to bombard the surface and clear a path for the ground assault. The infiltration team aboard a cloaked dropship descended through the chaotic battlefield. They landed undetected near the shield generator complex and swiftly moved into position. "Stay sharp," Blackwood cautioned. "This is it. No room for errors." The team navigated through the complex, encountering heavy resistance. Drari soldiers, aware of the importance of the generator, fought fiercely to defend it. The Allies pressed on, overcoming each obstacle with determination and skill. "Set the charges," Blackwood ordered as they reached the central control room. As the charges were planted, alarms blared, signaling the Drari to their presence. The team fought off waves of attackers, holding their ground until the explosives were ready. "Detonate," Blackwood commanded. The charges exploded, and the shield generator went offline, causing the planetary shield to flicker and collapse. The Allied fleet seized the opportunity, unleashing a barrage of firepower on key Drari positions. Ground forces move in. Lyran directed. We've breached their defenses. Human and UKP soldiers deployed to the surface, engaging in intense ground combat. The Dracari, though cornered, fought with desperation. The Allies advanced methodically, dismantling defensive positions and pushing towards the heart of the stronghold. In the midst of the battle, Blackwood's team joined the ground forces, their mission now to capture the Dracari leadership and force a surrender. They fought their way through the fortified city, overcoming entrenched positions and As they neared the central command bunker, Blackwood signaled his team to prepare for the final assault. This is it. Let's end this. The bunker was heavily guarded, but the Allies pressed on. Explosives breached the outer doors, and the team stormed inside, confronting the last remnants of the Dracari High Command. Among them was Supreme Commander Korath, the leader who had orchestrated the war. "It's over," Korath, Blackwood declared. "Surrender now, and spare your people further suffering," Korath, defiant to the end, snarled. "The Dracari will never bow to you." A fierce battle erupted in the command center. The Allies fought with everything they had, determined to bring an end to the conflict. Blackwood faced Korath in single combat, a brutal clash of strength and skill. With a final, decisive strike, Blackwood incapacitated Korath. The remaining Dracari soldiers, seeing their leader defeated, laid down their arms. "Secure the prisoners," Blackwood ordered. "This war is over." Outside, the Allied forces mopped up the last pockets of resistance. The fall of Karrak signaled the end of the Dracari Empire. As news of the victory spread, celebrations erupted across the Allied fleet and on Earth. In a grand ceremony held aboard the UKP flagship, President Carter and Captain Lyran addressed. "Today, we have achieved a great victory," Carter proclaimed. "We have brought peace to the galaxy and ensured a brighter future for all our worlds. Let this be a testament to the strength of unity and the indomitable spirit of humanity." Captain Lyran added, "We have proven that together we can overcome any challenge. The bonds forged in this war will guide us towards a new era of cooperation and prosperity." Commander Blackwood, hailed as a hero, stood beside his comrades, reflecting on the journey they had undertaken. The sacrifices, the battles, and the triumphs had all led to this moment of peace. As the galaxy began to heal, the Allied forces worked to rebuild and restore the world's devastated. The UKP, strengthened by the bonds forged in battle, looked to the future with hope and determination. And humanity, having proven its worth, stood proudly among the stars, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The phrase that had guided them through the darkest times now echoed as a reminder of their resilience. "Humans don't give a damn."